You may have noticed this. Your dog quietly gets up and follows you from room to room, not running, not asking for attention, just there. In many cases, people see this and think, my dog is just clingy, or he can't be alone for a second. And sometimes it may look exactly like that, but often it could be something much quieter, because your dog isn't always following your movement. He may be following something less visible, the rhythm of your day, the small changes in your body, the feeling of where you are in relation to him. Some studies suggest that dogs are highly attuned to human patterns and emotional shifts, even subtle ones we don't notice ourselves. So when your dog stands up the moment you do and walks with you without asking for anything, it may mean he's not trying to get something from you. He could be gently checking that everything around him is still where it should be. If you look a little closer, this behavior often follows a pattern. Your dog may not just be following your body, he could be following your rhythm, the way you move through the house, the order of your actions, the small pauses you don't even notice. In many cases, dogs learn these patterns over time, not as rules, but as something that feels predictable and safe. So when you stand up or walk into another room, your dog may not think, I need to go there. It could be more like, something is changing. I should stay close to it. And this doesn't always come from neediness. Often it's about connection, about staying within a space that feels familiar, because you're in it. Have you ever noticed how your dog sometimes follows you, but doesn't actually interact once he gets there? That may mean the goal was never attention. It could be about staying aligned with you in a way that feels quiet but important. You may notice this most clearly in the simplest moments, when your dog just walks behind you from room to room. No urgency, no request, just a quiet presence. In many cases, it may look like your dog is trying to stay close, as if he doesn't want to be left alone, and that can be one way to see it. But often, it could be something more neutral, even thoughtful. Dogs tend to organize their world around one central figure, the person whose movements shape the environment. So when you move, your dog may simply adjust with you. Not because he needs something right now, but because staying within your zone helps everything remain predictable. He can see what's happening. He can sense the next change. He can stay oriented. Some research in canine behavior suggests that proximity to a familiar human can support a dog's sense of stability, even when no interaction is happening. So when your dog follows you into another room, it may not be about attention at all. It could be a quiet way of staying connected to the center of his world. Sometimes your dog follows you and then simply lies down nearby. No paw on your hand, no eye contact asking for something, no movement at all, just quiet presence. In many cases, people assume he wants attention, but he's waiting, and sometimes that may be true. But often it could be something more settled than that, because not all closeness is a request. Dogs don't always seek interaction. Sometimes they seek proximity, a place where they can feel you nearby, hear your movement, sense your presence, without needing anything more. Studies around dog-human bonding suggest that simply being near a familiar person can lower a dog's baseline stress, even without direct contact. So when your dog lies next to you and does nothing, it may mean he's not waiting for attention. He could already feel what he came for, a quiet sense that everything is steady because you're there. You may have noticed this small moment. You shift in your chair or begin to stand up, and your dog is already on his feet, not rushing ahead, not asking anything, just ready. In many cases, it may seem like coincidence, or maybe you think he just reacts when I move. And that's partly true, but often it could be more than the movement itself. Dogs are very sensitive to micro signals, the slight change in posture, the way your weight shifts, even the rhythm of your breathing. Over time, they learn these patterns, not as commands, but as quiet indicators that something is about to happen. So when you begin to stand, your dog may not just be copying you. He could be anticipating the next step in your shared routine. In many cases, this is less about following and more about staying synchronized. Some behavioral studies suggest that dogs develop strong, predictive associations with human actions, especially in familiar environments. So when your dog stands up the moment you do, it may mean he's already reading what comes next. And then there are moments like this. You walk into a place that clearly isn't interesting, the hallway, the bathroom, a quick stop in the kitchen, nothing new, nothing exciting, and still your dog follows. In many cases, people think he just doesn't want to stay alone, but often it could be something simpler than that. Because for your dog, the value may not be in the place, but in where you are. Dogs don't always separate interesting and uninteresting spaces the way we do. Instead, they may organize their attention around presence. So even if the room has nothing to offer, your presence might be enough to make it relevant. Have you ever noticed how your dog walks in with you and then just stands or sits quietly? That may mean the destination was never the point. It could be about staying within your moving world, no matter where it goes. And sometimes it shows up in a quieter way. You leave the room and your dog doesn't follow. But a few seconds later, he gets up and chooses a different place to lie down. In many cases, it may look random, like he just felt like moving. But often it could be a small adjustment to a change in the environment, because for your dog, the house may not feel like a fixed space. It could feel more like a system that shifts depending on where you are. When you leave one room, the center of that system may move with you. So your dog may not always rush to follow, but he might reposition himself to stay connected to that center in a quieter way. Have you ever noticed how your dog chooses a spot where he can still hear you or sense you nearby? That may mean he's not trying to chase you. He could be recalibrating his place inside a space that feels different without you in it. And sometimes your dog doesn't follow at all, at least not in the way you expect. He stays in the other room, lies down, and just watches from a distance. In many cases, people think he's not interested right now, or he wants to be alone. And sometimes that may be true, but often it could be a different kind of connection, because not all attachment looks like closeness. Some dogs prefer to stay within sight or within awareness without stepping into your space. They can observe your movement, track where you are, and still feel connected without contact. Have you ever seen your dog watching you quietly from another room, not moving, just present? That may mean he doesn't need to be near you to feel aligned with you. He could already be exactly where he feels comfortable while still keeping you in his world. And if you notice this in your dog, you might even share what he tends to do. It's often different for every dog. And this is where it becomes a little deeper. Your dog may follow you, stay near you, and still not want to be touched. In many cases, this can feel confusing. You might think, if he wants to be close, why doesn't he want contact? But often these are different things, because proximity, comfort, and active attention are not the same for a dog. Proximity may mean simply being near you. Comfort could be the feeling of safety in that space. And active attention is something more direct. Touch, eye contact, engagement. So when your dog follows you but moves away when you reach out, it may not be rejection. He could already have what he needs just by being close. Some observations in dog behavior suggest that many dogs regulate their own level of interaction, choosing when to move closer and when to keep a bit of distance. So that quiet space your dog keeps might not be distance from you, but a way of staying connected on his own terms. And at this point, a natural question may come up. When is this just connection? And when could it be something more? In many cases, quietly following you from room to room is a normal form of attachment, a way your dog stays oriented, feels safe, and remains connected to you. But sometimes it could look a little different. Not just following, but struggling to settle when you stop. Not just staying nearby, but becoming restless if you move out of sight. You may notice your dog pacing, waiting at doorways, or checking on you more frequently than usual. In those moments, it may mean the behavior is not only about connection, it could be linked to uncertainty. Not necessarily something serious, but a sign that your dog may not feel fully comfortable being separate from you, even for short periods. Have you ever seen your dog follow you calmly and other times feel unable to relax unless you're right there? That contrast can be important because often the difference is not in the movement itself, but in how easily your dog can settle once the movement stops. So if you step back and look at all of this together, that quiet following may start to feel different, not as a habit to correct and not as something to label too quickly. In many cases, what looks like clingy behavior could be something much softer, a kind of quiet checking. Your dog may not be trying to get your attention. He could be making sure the world still feels the same, that you're where you usually are, that the rhythm hasn't shifted too much, that the space around him is still familiar. Have you ever noticed how your dog relaxes more once he knows where you are? That moment, when he lies down and everything seems to settle, it may mean he's not asking for anything more. He could just be confirming that his world is still in place. And maybe this is the part that often goes unnoticed. Love in dogs doesn't always look like excitement. It doesn't always come with jumping, wagging, or asking for more. In many cases, it's much quieter than that. A dog standing in the doorway, not coming closer, not leaving either. Just there. It may not seem like much, but often that quiet presence could be its own kind of connection. Not asking, not demanding, just staying within your world in a way that feels steady and enough. So the next time your dog follows you or simply watches from nearby, it may mean you're not just someone he lives with. You could be the place he feels most certain in. And sometimes that kind of quiet presence may be how a dog shows something deeper than excitement.